morning, Joe Justice here, coming to you live on December 19th, 2022. Hey guys, we are a week away from, well, less than a week away from Christmas, right? Christmas is here in just a few days. So I hope you're excited by the end of the week. We will be ready to start celebrating Old St. Nick. He's going to be dropping down some chimneys, delivering presents. I hope you've got everything ready to go and you are excited. We are excited. We've had all of our family celebrations and lots of fun, and it has just been a great time with the family celebrating and getting ready for jolly old St. Nicholas. So I hope you're having a great time too. Today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how success is not a straight line. A lot of people have this kind of image of success as being, you build little by little by little by little until you get to a nice linear path, and there's your success. And if you get a setback any step of the way, it's like backsliding or falling back or falling off the wagon or something like that. There's some kind of a image, some kind of a mental barrier that kind of gives you this idea that any step forward is a step back. And I'm here to tell you that's got nothing to do with how the real world works. In the real world, you take 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 3 steps forward, 5 steps back. Everything is incremental. Everything is a battle of inches, little by little by little by little by little. And you have to show up every day to get to where you want to be. You have to push every day. We kind of think of it as pushing the boulder up the hill when you're doing your work every single day, and the boulder rolling back down and then pushing again, just like Sisyphus in the old Greek mythology. But that's nothing like the way the world is in real life. Everything changes. Everything's dynamic. There's peaks and valleys. You're climbing. You're dropping. You're changing. The world's changing. Everything is constantly in flux, and everything is moving around you. And that's why you need to be careful about this idea of perpetual improvement, perpetual gain, perpetual movement forward, because that doesn't exist in the real world. Let me tell you a story. Back when I was just out of high school and I was working at a job, this seemed to happen to me all the time, but I'll tell you one specific example. I was getting ready, I just got this new job, and I was getting ready to go, and I literally was driving onto the entrance ramp to the. I was literally driving onto the entrance ramp to the interstate, and boom! I heard this loud explosion in my car, and there was all kinds of smoke coming up out of the car. I'd thrown a rod, and the engine was totally blown. I didn't know that at the time, but I was able to get it steered off the side of the road, and then I called somebody at work. And then they were able to come and help me get to work while I got my vehicle towed. And then on my way there, I actually found out that I went back home, and I had to walk back home, right? And then I realized once I got there that I had a bill that was late that I had to pay. So I had that problem, and then I had this towing problem. And then I didn't have any way. The guy that came to pick me up, he was able to pick me up for that one day, but he wouldn't be able to pick me up for the rest of the week. So I had like these 3 big things happen, like all in this like hour period or whatever. And I remember it really well because it's really kind of crappy, this kind of feeling that you get. But I noticed this same kind of pattern over and over. And you also hear the same thing. You like celebrities die in 3s, bad things happen in 3s, all this kind of stuff that happens. You get this story that they happen in 3s. And that's kind of true, but it's not exactly true. It's like a lot of other things in life. What's kind of funny about it is it feels like it's real, but it's really just kind of the way that you frame the world. And what I mean by that is, you take that example of like 3 bad things happening all at once. If any one of those things would have happened, it would have sucked and it would have kind of ruined the day or caused a lot of trouble, but it wouldn't have been the end of the world. But when 2 of them happen at once, then you notice them more, because the first one happens and you're like, oh man, that's going to really ruin my day. And then the second one happens and, oh man, that's really going to ruin my week. And then the third one happens and you think, oh man, how am I going to get out of this? This is a disaster. So you notice them because they all pile up. If one of them were to have just happened, it wouldn't have been that big of a deal. It's the exact same thing in life. You feel these huge setbacks. You feel these huge things that happen where you get, you get off track. You get out of sorts. You've been doing really well. Let's say you're doing your exercise. You've been doing really well every single day. You've been showing up. You've been putting in the work. You've been doing your exercise. then something comes up and you miss a day, and then it feels like, and then, two or three other things will happen that get you off track. You'll have some kind of a party, and you'll get off your diet, and you'll have some kind of an event that you won't be able to get back on track with. So all of a sudden, all this stuff kind of piles up, and it feels like you're completely off track. You're going to be off track. You're going to be stuck off track, and you're never going to get back on track. And that's exactly the way it feels, because that's kind of this thing that I'm talking about here with that's this whole problem that you run into with success not being a straight line. And if you view it that way, if you view every setback as just, a little setback, you'll be a lot better off than if you view these things as big events. They're not big events. They're just little events. If you take 2 steps forward and 1 step back, that's still 1 step forward, okay? And that's the way you've got to look at it. That's the way that'll help you to succeed. Now, I'll tell you, one thing that's really helpful if you're having a bad day, if it feels like it's one of those days where things are just falling apart all around you, nothing's working right, you're showing up late, you're hitting every traffic light on the way to work, your car engine is smoking, you found out that you've got a bill that's past due and your bank account got overdrafted, you find out that your best friend at work just got fired, all these bad things are happening all at once. That's a perfect time to do something dangerous. That's the perfect time. If you're feeling like things couldn't get any worse, you might as well do something you've been putting off. You might as well try something that you've been wanting to try. I talked to a guy that was a business owner one time, and he told me that he would always fire people in batches, because if he had to fire somebody, he really hated firing people. It would just ruin his day. He would think about it all week long. He was going to fire him on Friday. It would just be miserable, and he really hated doing it for whatever reason. I mean, he always had good reasons. Maybe they were showing up late for work. Maybe they weren't doing a good job. Maybe they were, inappropriate with other employees. They were all good reasons, but he just hated firing people. So what he would do is he would batch them. So instead of firing just one person, he would make sure that he had 3 or 4 people to fire. That way, he's not dreading it this week, and then dreading it next week, and then dreading it the week after that. Instead, he would say, you, and you're fired. Get out of here. And that way, he did it all at once. He did it all in one day. And that was a great way for him to manage that kind of, that just awful feeling that you get when you know that there's something bad coming up. And you can leverage that. You can use bad days to your advantage. Let's say there's a girl that you really want to ask out, and you're scared to ask her out because she's way above your league. She's from a better family. She makes more money. She's beautiful. And here you are, what are you, right? Well, that's a great opportunity. If you're having a bad day, if everything's going bad anyways, well, what's the worst that can happen? She could say no. Well, that doesn't make you any worse off, right? So you just go up to her and you ask her out. You do something that's a little dangerous, something that you wouldn't do. You're having a bad day. It can't get any worse. Might as well just go ahead and ask out the girl that's going to say no. She's going to say no, and it's just more bad to your day. But what if she says yes? What if it's the one thing that she says that's yes, and that works out great for you, and now you've just accomplished something. So by taking advantage of these bad days and seeing them as opportunities, because nobody likes having bad days, right? But if you can use a bad day to possibly get something that you want, that's not nothing. So shake things up. When you're having bad days, you're having setbacks, you're having things that aren't working in your favor, shake things up. Do something that you wouldn't normally do. Your patterns are broken at this point. You're expecting to show up and do something simple, and it's going to work out, but that doesn't happen. You've got all these problems, so now it's time to shake the box, right? Just take the box, shake everything around, and see how it looks from another angle. That's a great way, excuse me, that's a great way to take advantage of bad days. Bad days can be seen as opportunities. Remember in Game of Thrones, Littlefinger would say that chaos isn't a pit, it's a ladder. And that's the way you have to look at your own life. Whenever you have failures, whenever you have setbacks, whenever you have things that don't work out, that's your opportunity. Those days are your chance to try things that you wouldn't normally try. The worst case scenario is you're already having a miserable day. It's going to get more miserable. You can only have so much misery. So try something hard on those days. Try something challenging. Try something you wouldn't normally do. Shake the box and see if there's a ladder there that you can climb to a better tomorrow. Hope you guys found this helpful. I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and I will see you all tomorrow.